We're talking Social Security and a great retirement plan. Coming up next on Your Money Matters.
And welcome back to Your Money Matters, your weekly peek inside the complex financial world. You listen to the show so you can retire with peace of mind. And what better people to tell you about that than Christy Smith, president of the Presley Group, and Matt Kennedy. Christy and Matt are experts at helping you plan for a successful retirement. They teach their clients how to position their retirement money to avoid losses due to stock market conditions. They have helped hundreds of clients achieve their retirement goals, and they can help you. Here are your hosts for Your Money Matters, Matt Kennedy and Christy Smith.
Good morning, and welcome to Your Money Matters here on Talk 107.3 FM. I'm Matt Kennedy, licensed agent with the Presley Group. The founder and owner of the Presley Group is Christy Smith, and she's out of town this weekend. She'll be back in here with us next weekend. It's a pleasure to have you with us. At the Presley Group, we specialize in protecting and preserving your retirement nest egg, always offering you financial security in any economy. We use fixed indexed annuities to help you protect and preserve your retirement future. You're never putting your money at risk in the stock market. With our strategies at the Presley Group, you always share in market gains when the market is rising. But in the years when the stock market takes a big tumble, you've always got protection of your principal and your locked-in gains. And we can even show you how to create a guaranteed stream of retirement income. We're retirement income specialists, and our website is safemoneyplan.net. Well, each week we try to interview a guest as we talk about the economy and the stock market and retirement planning. And over the course of the year, we get to talk to a lot of very important and very bright people. So I thought this morning with Christy out of town, we would take a look back at some of our best interviews, our most informative interviews from the past year. One of our most frequent guests, and we love him because his insight is so great, is Robert Powell, who writes for MarketWatch.com. Robert is also the publisher of the Retirement Weekly newsletter, which, by the way, you can subscribe to through MarketWatch.com. I had a chance to talk to Robert a few months ago about an article he wrote back in the spring entitled, "Retirement in America is Endangered." Robert, there are a number of things to talk about in the article, Retirement in America is Endangered. Let's start with number one, and that's Social Security. That really is the great mystery that lies ahead for many of us, right?
That's right. So the biggest problem is that the Social Security trust funds will be exhausted in the year 2036, and at that point, there will only be enough income coming in to pay 77% of the scheduled benefits. So that's just a generation away from now. And, the longer we wait, the worse the problem becomes.
Would you say to someone who's close to retiring, maybe they're already 60, would you say Social Security is going to be okay for you, but maybe if you're in your 40s, Social Security would look different? Where is that breaking point, do you think?
Well, I think most people tend to put the break point around age 50 or 55. Age 50 tends to be the age at which people start planning for retirement in earnest. And so if you start changing plans for people who are over age 50, certainly over age 55, you're disrupting their retirement income plans, and it's less so for folks who are under age 50. And one of the things that happened many years ago was that President Reagan had put in place a commission led by Alan Greenspan in 1981. And 2 years after they put that commission in place, they were able to come up with a plan to raise the full retirement age and have it be phased in over a number of years, so that it went from age 65 to 67. And today, most people don't even feel that the full retirement age had been raised on them. And so I think the same could be done today, that for anyone under age 50, maybe we raise the retirement age from 67 to 70, let's say. And that could go a long way toward relieving some of the pressure that's on Social Security today.
Our guest is Bob Powell with MarketWatch.com. Bob, you point out in the article that a lot of people, when surveyed, their big concern is they just don't think they're going to have enough money in retirement. Recently, something like 13%, only 13% thought, yes, I've got plenty of money for retirement. You point out in the article that you write, one of the big changes will be people worried about making their money last, not how big their nest egg really is, right?
Well, it's sort of a double-edged sword. So on the one hand, people know that they don't have enough money saved for retirement, and they don't know how to manage it so that it does last a lifetime. And I think one of the big risks that people face is not that they'll run out of money per se, but that they'll run out of lifestyle. That over time, as they see that they're depleting their assets, they will slowly reduce their standard of living to a point that they never anticipated or envisioned when they were planning for retirement. So the trick, obviously, is to save as much as possible. Right now, what we know is that people are only saving, on average, 8% in their 401k, at least those who have it, and that the higher, the better contribution rate would be closer to 10, if not higher, and that would at least give folks a chance of retiring, combined with Social Security, around to replace about 80% of their pre-retirement income, which people say is not a bad replacement ratio. And
for many people, that replacement is going to, in your article you point out, that's going to have to involve some kind of income plan, right? That okay, at least I know I have X coming in to supplement Social Security, whatever that looks like, and pensions, whatever those may look like, correct?
That's right. And a lot of people think, well, I'll just, the common rule of thumb is that I'll just withdraw 4% of my retirement assets, and that's enough to make my money last a lifetime, however long that might be. Well, one of the things that we know today is that, Federal Reserve Chairman Ben Bernanke just said that we're going to keep interest rates at near zero for the next 3 years, which will really put pressure on people who are trying to withdraw income from their portfolios. They won't be able to live off interest and dividends alone. They'll have to start, dipping into their principal, and that will deplete their funds even, faster than they had anticipated. So having a plan that says, I know how much I'm going to take under what conditions, what interest rate environments or what real estate conditions, is very important. And people need to develop different options and revisit this plan every year. For some, it may mean that they have to keep working or return to the workforce. For others, it might mean that they they take the equity out of their home, they sell their house, they move into a smaller place and generate some income from the assets, from the equity that they might have in their house. For some, it might even mean delaying Social Security, or at least understanding how to get the highest benefit from Social Security. So in the old days, people could just retire and live off their defined benefit and Social Security and maybe some part-time work. Those days are gone. Today we have to be much more sophisticated about how we approach building a retirement income plan.
That's Robert Powell from MarketWatch.com, and that interview from March of this year about his article entitled, Retirement in America is Endangered. What about your own retirement? How do you feel about your own retirement? You feel confident that you're going to have enough money in retirement? Do you share some concerns about maybe not having an adequate nest egg? Does market volatility concern you? At the Presley Group, we can show you how to turn your retirement nest egg into a guaranteed retirement income that neither you nor your spouse can outlive. Obviously, for some of you, you'll need that additional income to supplement Social Security and, if you have it, a pension. Now, others of you may be saying, it's not retirement income I'm looking for, Matt. It's some security with the market so up and so down. Ben Bernanke talks. He says we might slow down the stimulus. Boom, the market goes down 300, 400, 500 points. It's a rocky, volatile market right now. And if you've got money just sitting in the bank, or maybe you're in CDs or money market because you're fearful of being in the market, at the Presley Group, we can show you how to plan for retirement, or if you're already retired, how to protect and preserve that money. Our plans allow you to share in market gains in the years when the market is rising. But most importantly, you've always got protection. Your principal can never be taken away by a stock market downturn. Your annual locked-in gains can never be taken away by a market downturn. So at the Presley Group, it's about protection, preservation. It's about financial security in any economy. Whether you're approaching retirement and you're looking at turning your nest egg into an income, or whether you're already retired and you're just trying to find some yield that's much better than CDs or money market accounts, give us a call, 791-5773. We always offer a free, no-obligation consultation, 791-5773. Online, we are at safemoneyplan.net. When we come back, Andy Landis. He's written the book Social Security, The Inside Story. We'll play his interview and get his insight on how to best maximize your Social Security benefits. When we continue in just a moment here on Your Money Matters on Talk 107.3 FM. And once again, welcome back to Your Money Matters. We're here each and every weekend at this same time. I'm Matt Kennedy, licensed agent with the Presley Group. Normally, we would hear from Christy Smith, but she's out of town this weekend. She'll be back in here with us next weekend. Christy is the owner, founder, and president of the Presley Group. For over 16 years, the Presley Group has been helping people prepare for a safe and a happy and a peaceful retirement, so that you have guaranteed retirement income if that's what you need, and you always have protection of your principal when the stock market goes down into bear territory. You can learn more about the Presley Group and what we do online at safemoneyplan.net. That's safemoneyplan.net. Well, today we're kind of doing a best of, if you will, just going back in time and pulling some of the interviews we've done over the past year from the archives. We always try to get great guests on because they fill our heads with great knowledge, great information. And I had a chance, I guess it was a couple of months ago, to speak to Andy Landis. Andy writes for MarketWatch.com and USA Today and a few other publications. Andy also has a book out called Social Security, The Inside Story. And I know for a lot of you, either if you're already retired or as you're approaching retirement, boy, Social Security is the big issue for so many of you as you begin to either retire or think about retiring. Do you claim it at 62? Do you wait till your full age? Does your wife take half of yours? Do you take half of hers? Do you file and suspend? Very complex issue when it comes to Social Security, and it's something you don't want to mess up. So let's go back in time to a few months ago and help demystify this some with Andy Landis, author of the new book, Social Security, The Inside Story. I stumbled across an article that Andy had written as one of the retire mentors at MarketWatch.com, and a very eye-catching article. Maximize your Social Security? ? Not so fast. Andy, good morning. Thank you for joining us. Why wouldn't I want to maximize my Social Security?
Good morning, Matt. That's a great question because, you pay into it your whole life, and then you're thinking, don't I want to get as many dollars back out of it as I can? But there's a trade-off. There's a catch. There are a lot of cool maximization strategies. Some of them are a little exotic. Withdraw and refile, file and suspend, restricted application, kind of interesting stuff, and they're all in my book. But there's always a trade-off, and the catch is you're postponing your dollars up front to get more dollars in the long run. And those dollars you lose up front might make it not worth it to postpone the Social Security. Yeah. The number one thing is, can you postpone Social Security? Most of the people I know are going, I need it now. I lost my job, or I've been looking forward to retirement for years. I need to get on with it. I need that Social Security to make ends meet. So it's a little silly to say, hey, if you postpone for 8 years, you'll get more money after 20 years. That kind of thing.
Yeah. In your article, you very succinctly point out some very, very meaningful considerations if you're going to think about when to take Social Security, because that is the ultimate question, right? When do I begin drawing it? Or when do I begin taking half of my spouse's, for example? You say you have to look at things like life expectancy, the near-term shortfall, marital status, estate planning, taxes. Let's walk through those if we can. First of all, life expectancy. What factor does that play?
Yes, sir. Let's say that you are ill at this point. You may not have a long life expectancy because of family history, something like that. Well, then why would you give yourself a shortfall in the short term to get more money in the long term when there may not be a long term? I hate to put it that way.
You may not be here to collect it.
You may not live long enough to get more money out of the system. So a lot of people who are, say, sickly or they just don't expect to live as long, it just doesn't make sense to look for the long term.
So you kind of have to look at your family history. And if your mom and dad lived into their 90s, right, maybe it makes sense for you to put off taking Social Security. But if you've got illness right now or you've got a history of passing away in your 70s or late 60s, maybe you take it right now.
Yeah, I'm kind of wrestling with that because landless men do not live very long in history, so maybe I better get what I can early. I haven't decided on that yet.
Yeah. Of course, medical improvements may be to your benefit, though.
Right. Thank goodness. And then, of course, the next factor is, can you live with that near-term shortfall? Do you have a source of income to get you to age 66 or ideally 70 to collect more Social Security in the long run? Now, the logical thing is if you have a job, if you're working, you like it, it's good for you, or maybe you've started a second job or a second career, then you can postpone the Social Security, and it makes good financial sense. By the way, I love that term. Can't come up with it. Never mind. So, do you have a source of income for the near-term shortfall, and what is that source of income? For example, if to get to a later Social Security age, you're drawing money from an IRA, your financial advisor may shudder at that because there's 3 big strikes against you. If you hit your IRA early in order to postpone your Social Security, you're paying more in taxes than you would under Social Security.
Right.
You're denying yourself compounding from the dollars that you're pulling out. They can't compound anymore. And you have to pull more and more out from it for inflation as years go by, where Social Security automatically inflates. So,
Andy, the way you've written it in the article at MarketWatch is well written. It says earlier Social Security could mean more savings later. Waiting for Social Security can actually be bad for your savings health.
Right.
Because like you just said, you may be withdrawing more than you can really afford to withdraw.
Right. It may be bad for you in the long run. Do you want the savings to be drained up front so you have lower savings later, but you have higher Social Security? Or is the other way around better for you individual? Take the income early but have more savings later in life. It's an individual question. It's
Andy Landis with us, the website Andy Landis, LANDIS.biz. He's author of Social Security, The Inside Story, which, by the way, has been updated for 2012. All the latest info is in there. And then I think one of the biggies has to be marital status. You have to take that into consideration, don't you?
It's a huge factor, and the reason is demographics. If you look at any given couple and their life expectancy as a couple, in other words, I hate to be blunt, but when does the second person pass away? Their life expectancy as a couple is longer than the life expectancy of either of them as an individual. Example, life expectancy for a couple in their mid-60s is 92 years old. That changes the whole time frame for Social Security maximization. And it also opens up other possibilities for maximization. There's an exotic form of filing where you file for 50% spouse benefits at 66 and then file for your own at 70, and you get 132% payment instead of 100%. So it's worth doing if you have a long enough life expectancy, and the couple does. So that changes everything. If you're just planning for one person, which a lot of people are, that's a different situation than if you're planning for a couple.
Andy, in your years and years of covering Social Security benefits, writing about them, educating people about them, what is the single biggest mistake that you see that married couples make when it comes to figuring out Social Security withdrawals?
I think probably the biggest mistake is not considering the extra lifespan that you have if there's two of you. And what does the survivor have to go with them? So, example, if I file early for Social Security, my wife, Kay, would be shortchanged when I pass away. She will not get more than I get when I pass away. So if I take an earlier, lower payment from Social Security, I'm locking that in not just for my lifespan, but for my survivor as well. So it's important to consider who gets what after the first death, and you don't want to leave somebody, holding the bag, so to speak, if you love them.
Yeah, let's talk about taxes, too. That T word has to be out there, and taxes are, of course, creeping up. And you write, if the alternative to Social Security is withdrawals from a traditional IRA, every dollar withdrawn will be taxable. Expand on that.
Sure. Any money you draw from a traditional IRA is 100% taxable at the point you withdraw it. Not talking about a Roth, but a traditional IRA where most of our retirement savings is today. So anything you take out of there is taxable. Well, so what? Isn't the same true of Social Security? No. Even for high-income retirees, at least 15% of the Social Security is tax-free. So depending on your tax picture, it might make sense to take the Social Security and get the tax benefits of drawing that rather than taking money from your IRA. Again, it's an individual question.
Yeah.
I'm not a financial planner, but I work with financial planners all the time, and I love it when I hear somebody ask a planner, when should I file for Social Security?
Yeah.
And they say, I don't know because I don't know all your situation.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know your tax situation. Are you going to get an inheritance? Are you going to sell a house later? It's a million questions that go into it.
Andy Landis with us. The book, Social Security, The Inside Story. His website, again, is andylandis.biz. You can read his columns at marketwatch.com. And today we are offering a complimentary copy of Andy's book, Social Security, The Inside Story, updated for 2012. All you have to do is call our office at 791-5773 and schedule a free, no-obligation, complimentary retirement checkup, just so we can sit down and talk with you about what your needs are, help you make that Social Security decision, and help you safeguard and protect your retirement portfolio from all the market volatility. So call now at 791-5773. That's 791-5773. Schedule that 1-hour complimentary retirement checkup, and we'll give you a free copy of the book, Social Security, The Inside Story by our guest, Andy Landis. You also write, Andy, about estate planning, that estate planning has to be a consideration when you talk about Social Security and when to take it. Expound on that.
Yeah, in fact, I do train attorneys to talk about to learn about how Social Security figures into the estate plan. Social Security has built-in survivor payments. If I pass away, Kay, my wife, could draw Social Security on my record or on her own, whichever one pays better. So that's important, but it's also important on your Social Security maximization picture. For example, if you maximize your long-term Social Security, that's great because you're maximizing it for your survivor also.
Mm-hmm.
But if I take Social Security early, that might maximize my savings that I can pass on to whoever I want. So how big will my estate be when I pass it on to, say, my kids? My kids won't get anything from Social Security because they're grown and they're healthy. Not from my Social Security anyway. So the fact is, if I want to pass something on to family members, then I need to preserve my savings, not my Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm not saying it's one decision or the other. Everybody's going to be individual on that. But it's a consideration. You need to consider, gee, what do I want to pass on to others, and what will my spouse have for my Social Security?
And Andy, last but not least, I know one of the big considerations you mentioned in working with financial planners, one of the big considerations has to be, if I begin taking Social Security early, let's say age 62, well, I get dinged if I'm taking it early if I've got too much income. That has to be a gigantic consideration, right?
It is. The only kind of income that would reduce your Social Security is work income, either self-employment or employment income, when you're under full retirement age, which is currently 66. So if I take it early and I get a job, I'm going to lose some of my Social Security. So that is a factor. Gee, if I can get by on my work income, my Social Security just keeps getting bigger in the background if I don't draw it. So that is a factor. How much Social Security do I want to draw? On the other hand, if my life plan or the way the dice have fallen puts me in a situation where all I have is part-time income, maybe I could supplement that income with some Social Security coming in at 62. So again, it's individual, but it's a factor. And you brought that up, and I didn't. Good for you, Matt.
Well, and then we go back to the fact, I have parents, and they went through that same struggle,
Yeah.
But then you go back, Andy, to where the conversation began today. That's life expectancy. So maybe if you've got, low life expectancy, it makes sense to go ahead and start collecting at 62, even though you may get dinged because you have earned income. But if you can live a long time, Andy, we need to come up with that computer that's going to tell us exactly how long we're going to live. If you and I invent that, we'll be done, right?
It's true. And to put it bluntly, if you tell me your death age, if you give me your death date, I can tell you when to file for Social Security. We don't know that, so we have to play the odds.
What are some good websites that you recommend? I know your website, andylandis.biz, has good info, but what are some maybe calculators we can use that you rely on?
There's some interesting companies that try to take into account all of these different variables and give you a number, a date. One of them is socialsecuritychoices.com. That's all one word, socialsecuritychoices.com. Another one, and you can get these, you get the titles here, maximizemysocialsecurity.com and socialsecuritysolutions.com. These three websites will ask you for the important data and then give you options to maximize your Social Security for a fee. It's a fairly reasonable fee, $20 to $40. You can get the numbers that you want to make your own decisions around this important question.
Again, that book is called Social Security, The Inside Story. Andy was nice enough to leave a couple of copies behind for us. So if you are on the verge of retiring, or maybe you are already retired, but you're looking for some input on how to best maximize your benefits and how to protect and preserve your retirement nest egg, give us a call. If you schedule an appointment with us, we'll be happy to give you a free copy of Andy's book. Again, call us at 791-5773. We have a few copies of Andy's book, Social Security, The Inside Story. And if you call us and schedule your free, no-obligation appointment, we'll be more than happy to give you a copy of Andy's book. Our number again is 791-5773. We'll come right back. Next, we'll hear from Andrea Coombs, who writes for MarketWatch.com about a new survey out regarding retirement fears among Americans. That's next on Your Money Matters. This is Your Money Matters here on Talk 107.3 FM. It's presented every weekend at this time by the Presley Group. We're at 170 Veterans Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. Christy Smith founded the Presley Group over 16 years ago. And the Presley Group, well, we just work to help you have a great retirement. It's about financial security in any economy. We are insurance agents. We use great insurance companies to build for you a solid retirement plan, a plan that gives you protection when and if the market goes down, a plan that lets you share in stock market gains when the market is rising, and a plan that can even create guaranteed retirement income. So if you're looking for retirement income, give us a call. Let us show you a plan to maximize your retirement income and protect you from market losses. Now, if you're not needing retirement income, if you're just concerned about the market and you're saying, I don't want to put my money in CDs, they're paying nothing. I don't want to stick my money in money market. If you're concerned about what rising interest rates may do to bond funds, we can show you a strategy whereby we link your gains to the stock market. We link your returns to the market without ever putting your principal at risk. Our number again is 791-5773. We know there's a lot of fear out there. Look, it's been a good last 12 months in the stock market. But now Ben Bernanke saying the bond buying is going to have to slow down. The markets didn't like that. Big sell-off earlier this week. And it gives you a great pause, doesn't it, before you go stick your money in the market. It gives you great pause, perhaps, if you're close to retirement and your funds are in the market. There's a lot of fear, a lot of concern right now in America. And as we continue with our best of interviews this weekend, I had the chance back in December of last year to talk to MarketWatch's Andrea Coombs about an article she wrote about retirement fears among not only those of you who are close to retiring, but even retirement fears among younger workers as well.
Well, older workers, it's true, have sort of, for a number of years, been more worried about retirement than younger workers, and obviously they're closer to it. They see it coming. They sort of have a greater understanding of the fact that they may not have enough savings. But what this recent survey found, actually a couple of recent surveys found, that the fears have definitely risen. More older workers say they're going to delay retirement. More of them say they're going to have to work at least part-time in retirement. So you definitely saw fears rising. And part of that could well be, the ongoing effects of the market downturn a few years ago. I mean, people, still are trying to recover from that,
and a general fear of the market itself, right?
That could be part of it. The surveys, they often don't go deeply into detail as to why people are feeling this way, but some of the theories of the people who conduct these surveys, one of them is that, it's this ongoing problem of people just, maybe they didn't have enough savings in the first place, but then the market really ate into that. So they're still trying to recover from that. But another piece of this worry among older workers could well be that people are just more aware these days of what sorts of costs they face in retirement. It's the good news is they may be more aware of what they need to save. The bad news is they're close to retirement and they haven't saved it yet. And one of the big pieces of that is healthcare costs. You think, by the time I hit age 65, I'll be eligible for Medicare, and that's a great thing. I mean, Medicare provides, is a strong insurance plan for the older people in our country. The problem is it doesn't cover everything. There's a lot it doesn't cover. It does not cover dental, hearing aids, long-term care. These things they can add up. If you have a number of health issues and you're on Medicare, you can have the costs add up. And there are a number of surveys that have come out recently that, some people estimate the cost to be, for a married couple, $240,000 in retirement for health care.
$250,000 just for health care in retirement. That's a stunning figure.
It is a stunning figure, and it really is going to vary depending on your own personal situation. That particular study does look really, they get at an average by looking at sort of average healthcare use. So it's a pretty good figure. But yeah, there are people who won't get anywhere near that amount because they're just healthier. So that's another thing. While you're saving for retirement, also think about really trying to just keep your health, keep it good, because it's going to matter. The older you get, the more it matters, of course.
Your article is entitled "Retirement Fears Rise Among Older Workers." I thought one of the most intriguing things that you've discovered and pointed out. The pensions are going away. I mean, my parents had it, your parents had it, we don't. And so is it the loss of that guaranteed pension payout that has so many people worried?
Yes, I think that's a big part of it. But interestingly, one survey actually talked to people who do have pensions, people who are retired now and who have a traditional pension plan in addition to their own savings. And even those people are finding it, difficult financially in retirement. And, even those people who have pensions say they wish they'd started saving earlier, that they'd saved more. So it certainly wasn't having a pension isn't a panacea, but of course,
right.
It's better than not having one, which so many people face these days. You're right. I mean, more and more people do not have a traditional pension. And that's, it all comes down to we all need to save more. And there's two sides of saving more. One is if you can put more into savings now while you're working, not only are you growing that pot of money you're going to have, when you retire, but you're also learning to live on less. And that's that can really help once you retire. If you can budget that way, think about saving money, that's going to help you. You won't need as much in retirement. And that's, I think a lot of people, they face a different standard of living because they haven't saved enough. They face a different standard of living in retirement because they didn't save enough before they retired.
The numbers on savings, what I found interesting, Andrea, is that from the Employee Benefit Research Institute in their 22nd annual retirement survey, and you quote some of this data in your article, a third of workers aged 55 and older had only saved $10,000 or less. And even another third, about 29% of workers aged 55 plus had only saved between $10,000 and $100,000. So a lot of people they don't have significant savings or sufficient savings, and I guess they're trying to add more coal to the fire right now, aren't they?
Yes, I mean, the real issue for people in that group who really have very little in savings, Social Security is what they need. I mean, they are going to rely on Social Security, and which I should point out there are some people out there who aren't eligible for Social Security because of their work history. Maybe they, for whatever reason,
federal employees, teachers, things like that.
Exactly, right. Exactly. So it's, but for the vast majority of people who don't have enough saved, it's Social Security, and there's a lot of talk right now about trimming benefits and what have you.
Raising ages, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I think one idea that seems to be gaining traction is limiting the cost of living adjustment in Social Security, which, it has a sort of, I won't go into the details of it, but the actual cost of living adjustment does have a sort of a strange, it doesn't always fit the costs that seniors are facing. It doesn't rise. For instance, healthcare costs are under accounted for in that cost of living adjustment, while, when energy costs go way up, seniors are affected differently than people who are commuting, say. Mm-hmm. But still, so maybe the cost of living, the COLA, as they call it, isn't perfect, but changing it, reducing it, cutting it, as some are saying they want to do during this fiscal cliff negotiation, that's going to hit a lot of seniors. And,
sure.
and on the other side of the coin, there's the people are talking, there's the deficit, and a lot of people say there needs to be changes there, although there's some debate about that too. But still, when you think about it, Social Security is keeping a lot of people out of poverty. It's a hugely important
absolutely.
Program. Yeah.
Andrea Coombs with us. Andrea, last but not least, you point out in the article that about 25% of workers say they may very well run out of money in retirement. I saw a piece of research the other day from a survey from, I think it was Allianz Life Insurance Company, and they researched and asked baby boomers, which do you fear more, dying or running out of money in retirement? And do you know more boomers said they feared running out of money more than death? This is a very real fear for some, especially those who have not saved enough, correct? Yes,
that's just a sort of somewhat horrifying statistic, but yes, it's it's a big fear. And again, Social Security is pretty much the only thing that's going to keep some people kind of treading water there. It's a really tough situation. I think people talk about a retirement crisis in this nation, and I think it is one. There are a lot of people who are going to struggle. On the other hand, there are a lot of people where Social Security is sufficient. There are people who have saved enough, and there's a sort of a wide a variety of realities out there. But certainly for a good chunk of our oldest citizens, it's retirement is a very scary prospect, which is not a good thing in my opinion.
No. So in closing, what's your advice? Clearly 2 words, right? If you can, save more.
That's exactly right. And really, for any people who are younger listening to this show or middle-aged, if still working, really ramp up that savings rate, because it's just it's so much easier. The more time you have, the easier it's going to be to save enough. So just really, think about putting aside 15% of your income, if not more, if you can. Obviously, that's not going to be doable for a lot of people, and I understand that. But really, if you can put aside 15% or more, you should start thinking about trying to do that.
Andrea Coombs from MarketWatch.com. Moral of the story, save more. But for those of you who've saved and are close to retiring, that's where we come in. Our number is 791-5773. 791-5773. We can show you how to, A, turn your nest egg into guaranteed retirement income, and protect and preserve your retirement nest egg from market losses. By the way, if you are over age 59 and a half and still working, remember, most companies allow you to do what's called an in-service distribution. That is, you can take funds out of your 401k and move them into an IRA, into one of our plans, and begin to get that peace of mind knowing that you're protected from market losses. It's always a free, no-obligation consultation. Simply call us at 791-5773. 791-5773 to set up your free, no-obligation retirement consultation. Also, visit our website, a treasure trove of information there. You can actually contact us and schedule your appointment through our website as well. It's safemoneyplan.net. That's safemoneyplan.net. Back with more of Your Money Matters in just a moment here on Talk 107.3 FM.